And finally, the return of the Undisputed GOAT podcast is here as requested, back by popular demand. And as an added bonus, I got my TikTok live crew here. In the great words of Jay-Z, I brought the foods this time, though. I got my main man, Flash. What's going on, bro?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, man, tell us where to find you at, bro.
You can find me on TikTok. It's Flash22 with all underscores in between the letters. I've been trying to get more content out as the weeks have gone by, but being a single dad, it's kind of tough a little bit. But it more and more is. I mean, I'm starting to, my schedule's starting to wean out a little bit. So you can find me there, and then on my link tree's there as well. So my Instagram is there as well.
All right, Dan. And we got my main man from Georgia himself, my main man, Frank, BRL Sports. Man, tell the people about you, man.
Frank, there, man, it's good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hold on. If you can hear me.
You lagging just a little bit, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, bro.
All right, okay. Yep, just making sure you can hear me. All right, but anyways, champ, you know it's always a pleasure to be on these podcasts with you, man. Glad to get on these with you again. Here I am bringing that real Florida sports talk game. You can find me on TikTok, of course, at BRL Sports. You can find me IG. You can find me Twitter, and you can also find me on my Facebook page, which is a BRF Sports. The IG is Drell 112285 and Dre 2285 on the X/Twitter. Those are the four main spots you can find me at. So, you know, I'm always trying to put it out any way I can. So, man, I'm just excited to be back on this.
Right, I'm excited to have you, man. Now, for those who don't know, man, we used to have TikTok live on fire damn near every Sunday during football season. Me, you, all three of us, we used to be on the lives, and we used to have the football world on fire during that time. But this week is a very, very special week. It's not a football week, although we'll get to that later. But everybody knows what week it is. This is WrestleMania week, man. WrestleMania week, arguably one of the most biggest weeks that you'll ever have in sports entertainment, man. And I must say, man, the build-up has been good. The storylines have been good, man. Hey, man, tell us y'all's feelings about WrestleMania this year, man. Let's start with you, Frank.
In terms of overall sheer build-up, this is one of the best build-ups for a WrestleMania. Oh gosh. You can go back to like I might be crazy to say this, but this might be the best overall build for a full WrestleMania show since 30. Okay. As far as like top to bottom, like, I mean, if you want to say 30, I'm trying to think of another good one in the past, like over the last decade. You know what? Our WrestleMania 38 and 39 as a whole were good builds too. So there were some good builds in there, but gosh, man, oh my gosh, just the Gunther Sami Zayn match, obviously, of course, the whole bloodline, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins stuff, all of that. But then you got the Drew McIntyre and the CM Punk situation going on. It's almost like everything is just being like tied and wrapped together into one big bow. And Saturday and Sunday, we're just gonna get like everything, just a big explosion, and you just never know what's gonna happen off of that. I'm ready. And another thing I'm ready for is just a surprise. It's like, who's gonna show up between Saturday and Monday night that's gonna like just throw everybody in a loop? This has been a really good. They've done real good with this. They have done real good with this build.
Flash, what you got, man?
One of the most what I find funny, and it's just is one of the most toxic fan bases can be wrestling fans. And I wasn't long ago that as a whole, everybody was like, this is terrible. The Rock sucks. He's taking over everything just because blah, 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 blah. And I made a video about this on TikTok.
Yeah, you did.
And I said, And I said what everybody's crying about, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Rock's just coming in, taking over, and taking things like that." It's The Rock, and right now, he has made this WrestleMania with his heel turn one of the most interesting WrestleManias in a long time. And I said it when even though he was a face at the time. Now we can argue whether or not this was in the works the whole time, or they made an adjustment on the fly, or whatever. That's been debated back and forth for weeks now. But the buildup in general, I'm not as hyped about the Sammy Gunter match as a lot of people, even though I love Sammy and I love Gunter. But I'm just not something's. I think it's a setup for something else. But I think the lead up to it in general, the Rock beatdown of Cody was very Attitude Era-esque. I don't think the Attitude Era is back necessarily, but I think we're going to get moments like that of what I grew up with. I think Rhea. I thought Rhea and Becky was kind of stale the way they were building up to it in the last, I'd say 2.5 weeks. They have really ramped that up, and that match is looking really good now. I'm really happy right now, and there's so many different ways that I think, especially Sunday night, that this could go. I think a lot of the matches are pretty much that person should win and that person should win, but I got some. I love it. I love the build-up. What do you think, Champ?
Hey, this is arguably the best built WrestleMania I have seen, and I'm pretty old, by the way. But this was Attitude Era-esque, man. And just like you said, Flash. And man, quite frankly, I'm just excited to see it, man. And I know they're gonna throw us a loop in there somewhere. That's what I'm waiting on. I know they're gonna throw us a loop in there somewhere. I'm just waiting on it. But hey, man, WrestleMania week is always a good week. It's like Christmas, the anticipation. You're waiting to see what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen, but you're just really not sure at this point. But it's always a very, very intriguing week, man. I'm just excited to be, man. Not to mention Jade and Naomi, and that whole 3-person tag team match is gonna happen. I'm looking forward to that one. As already know, Flash, you made a video about me early in my career. So, hey, you already.
I didn't see this, man. What? I did not see this.
He made a video about Jade on TikTok about basically she's it. And I can't remember why. I still have, it's one of my favorite videos. And I said, no. This is it. Because I feel the same way about Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. It was who would you risk it all for?
Yeah,
and I said, oh my God. And I showed Jade, and he's like, dude. And that was one of the first videos I think. And then Flash came up, he's like, dude, no. And he showed Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss is just
yeah. I'm glad to see her at WrestleMania. That was a real good. That's real big, and man, it's gonna be very, very cool to see that. That is gonna be cool. But let's switch gears for a second. Number one, let's go to the comments for a second. Yo, if you are in this live right now, go right to TikTok, go right to YouTube, and go follow the Throwdown Brandon from the block. Hell of a show every Monday and every Wednesday. Go follow him quickly, man. Hell of a show, man. The Throwdown, it gets real nasty over there, bro. Real nasty, especially with them hot takes. Go check out the latest take that he just posted about Steven Jackson. That's one hell of a video.
I saw a clip of that video, by the way. I was like, whoa.
Hey, man, we can't, but on another subject, you can't discredit Steven Jackson. I don't have him top 10, but can't discredit it. And my main man, PSP. Like and subscribe to the pod. One of his favorite WrestleMania moments was The Rock versus Stone Cold, WrestleMania 19, the third and final chapter of The Rock and Stone Cold. Hey, every Friday, check out PSP, man. Check out PSP every single Friday night at 9 o'clock on the dot. Not 9:05, not 9:03. PSP, definitely. Big shout out. Big shout out. But let's switch gears for a second, man. We have to go back. We would be remiss if we did not talk about the most televised, most highest rated game in women's college basketball history. And you know what it was built this? It was built this Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark came out on top this time, man. We'll start off with you this time, AJ, man. What do you think about that game, man? What you think?
So I didn't get to watch it, but I saw a lot of the highlights, and I have to say that I posted on my Facebook page that Caitlin Clark is probably the best thing to happen to women's sports in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
She's a genuine attraction. And what I mean by that is people tune in. It's like when Barry Bonds went up to bat. You know, when you saw on Twitter that Steph was lighting it up, you flipped immediately to go to see him go off. You know, there are certain things like attractions, like in wrestling, like Andre the Giant was just an attraction. Like you had to go see them. And Caitlin has proven to that she's been able to elevate not only women's sports, but women's college basketball in general. Now, I am curious to see how that translates over to, because the WNBA for years has needed something.
Mm-hmm.
They've lacked an attraction. They've lacked a true like fan, like a fan base, like where it's like it's not supported like the NBA is, obviously. And I want to see if that translates and carries over to that. And I hope it does. I'm really curious. I think it's going to have to take a lot of really smart marketing for the transfer over from college to the WNBA. And but she's got it. That's for sure.
Yes, she does. And we got another special added guest. PSP has entered the chat at this time.
What up, fellas? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can, PSP.
Loud and clear.
How y'all doing?
Doing great, bro.
You're good. How are you?
Good, man. I just got back from the crib from work. Tired right now, just relaxing in bed, just chilling. Just watching some Netflix. That's why I got the Stone Cold Avatar. Of course, y'all know me. Anyone who knows about wrestling knows Stone Cold is my GOAT. But glad to be here with y'all, man. Caitlin Clark, boy, she is a baller. I mean, that was a great game. I mean, 41 points. I mean, she can do it all. And hey, Chad, we had a discussion about this on my pod last week. I mean, Ice Cube with the big three offering her the $5 million deal. I mean, WNBA, you better do something because, again, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and then later Juju, the freshman from USC, who's no doubt a baller as well. I mean, it's great that we're actually talking more about women's basketball. Finally, they're getting more of the recognition. And I just love what I'm seeing, man. It was a great game. As for Angel Reese, and shout out to Angel Reese. She just declared for the WNBA draft. I think she's going to be fine on the next level. So that's all I can really say, man. I mean, it's really a great year for college basketball, both men's and women's as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, Big Frank, what you got, brother?
Going into that game, I was thinking like, as good as Caitlin Clark is, I felt like LSU was a better team, top to bottom. I felt like the depth was there, but then at the same time, you think about it, and it's like sometimes with college basketball, it's just whether it's the men's side or it's the women's side, it's like sometimes even if you have the better team, if that one like superstar just really goes off and really plays well, it kind of gets the rest of the team up to par with that star, and it just ultimately carries them. And I think that's really what happened. How Iowa was able to get the better of LSU. I think it was just that's what you want. That's what you want to see out your star player. That's what you want to see out your star players, how they elevate everyone around them. And Caitlin Clark did that. And just, I think when LSU decided to put Haley Van Lith on her to guard in that latter part of the game, I knew it was a wrap. Haley Van Lith had no shot against Caitlin Clark, and she ate her for breakfast, lunch, dinner. You name the meal. Caitlin Clark ate her alive. I mean, that was a tragedy what Caitlin Clark did to her. So I mean, just
no shame though. I mean, no shame. I mean, you all talking about the best basketball player in college women's basketball, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it's just that's what you want your star to do in those situations, man. And she stepped up to the plate in a really big. Somebody like she needed that game because of the attention and just the way kind of like the way her brand is building. She needed that game because the WNBA got to be looking at that now. They got to be thinking, "Whoa, boy." I guess Ice Cube. That game validated Ice Cube offering her that type of money for the big three. It validated everything about that offer.
So is this the WNBA's Magic Bird moment? Does the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark thing transfer over to the WNBA like how it did for Bird and Magic in the 80s?
You hope so. You just have to you would hope so. I mean, they just have to. They have to see what they have, and they have to be able to be smart about the marketing aspect of this. They got to be,
and branding,
and exactly, most definitely, and the branding of it. If they've ever had an opportunity to get something right, this is it. If they want to take their league to the next level, this could be their Magic Bird. If they don't get this right, they will never get it right.
No, and the first thing I would do if I'm Nike, I'd go sign. If they're not already, I don't know if you. I mean, I know you can sign now. I'd sign both of them, and when they're drafted, to do that old Converse commercial that Magic and Bird did, and just
or the McDonald's commercial.
What?
Remember the McDonald's commercial between Bird and Jordan?
Yep. And I would continue that rivalry as much as Caitlin Clark. I don't think she shut down the rivalry, but it's still there. They just need to capitalize on the marketing. And if I'm Nike, McDonald's, whoever, I immediately sign both of them, and I would run that rivalry as hard as.
I would love to see one of them on the Jordan brand.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I would too. To be honest, I would too.
And then not only that, you got to think about the basketball markets they're going to end up going to, especially if Angel Reese ends up going to the LA Sparks, which has a rich history of winning, and Caitlin Clark ends up going to Indiana, the birthplace of basketball. You got to think about that. We all know
Tamika Catchings. The
Yeah.
great Tamika Catchings as well. Yeah.
And if they actually did LA and Indiana, it would you could play off the Bird and Magic thing just right off of that.
Yeah, because Larry Bird is from Indiana.
From Indiana, French Lick. So you could play out. It wouldn't be as big as like Boston, LA, but it's still you can still play off of it though.
If you really think about it, the Boston Celtics roots are from Indiana. Guess who else is from Indiana? Red Auerbach. Yeah. So all of the roots is from Indiana. Boston's roots is from Indiana. But like I said, I made a video about that, Flash, by the way. I think you saw it. I made a video about them building them up as Bird and Magic and not only that, you have a chance to do like they did in the 80s as well with Juju as well, with Juju Watkins, when she comes in as well. You can build her like a Kevin McHale or a Bernard King or even a Jordan at this point, depending on how good she is when she comes out.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this, you have a chance, you have a litany of stars in the WNBA at this point. This is the most star power in women's basketball at this point. And not only that, people are going to kill me for this, not literally, but figuratively. But women's basketball right now is everything men's basketball used to be. You have the star-studded coaches, the star-studded players. You have the rivalries. You have the conferences. You have the games. You have the powerhouse teams in South Carolina, LSU. All the intangibles are there. Only thing you have to do is take what they're doing right now for women's basketball in college and translate it over and put the marketing machine behind them in the WNBA. That's all you really have to do. You have to market these young ladies, though. You have to market them. You just can't let them sell themselves. We
Mhm.
want to see you market them. So that's what you're gonna. If the WNBA, if you ever saw an opportunity, this is your opportunity in order to market. This is your opportunity to have the audience year round.
Yeah,
Literally year round.
yeah.
And
I totally agree. I think the whole marketing aspect. And you know, they should have social media. Basically you take a page out of the Bird Magic Jordan marketing aspect, and then you take an aspect out of what Livy Dunn has done with the NIL and with her marketing, just the way that she operates everything, and how big she's gotten. That her face is everywhere. So
Right.
you just will have to do. They need some, like we've been saying, smart marketing, and they need to take some. Like I said, if I'm Nike, I would sign those two in a heartbeat and
yes,
do a
indeed.
whole rivalry campaign of commercials.
Also, I think for the WNBA to also improve, you're gonna have to figure out a way to try to create more leagues in order to prevent these players to going and playing overseas. So that way, you're gonna have to try to find what ways can we make the game entertaining. I heard something about Steph and Clay with Sabrina and Caitlin Clark for like another 3-point shooting contest. Should they try to incorporate different things in order to make the game fun? Because if you look at the All-Star weekend, other than that was by far the best competition other than 3-point shooting contest. I mean, the dunk contest, I'm sorry, I'm just done with. And the All-Star game was awful. Sabrina versus Steph, that was fantastic to watch because Sabrina going up against the greatest shooter in our time in Steph Curry. I mean, that's what that's what impressed me the most, other than the 3-point shooting contest and the fact that she was going toe to toe. I mean, that was actually great though.
And I think this is the WNBA's chance to be like what Kaylin is a generational talent. So when I say that is, I think people make the mistake of when that phrase is thrown out as a generation, it's like, well, once in a generation type player. And that's where I don't think that's the term. What it's supposed to mean. At least to me, it's not. To me, a generational type talent affects actual generations forward.
Yes.
So like Michael Jordan affected generations forward. He got kids to play basketball and more kids to play basketball. Ken Griffey Jr. got kids to wear their hat backwards and got kids to play in Little League. Steph Curry changed the game and went from a lot of dunking and slashing to a lot of skill base. He's changed the game. Now you see kids doing step backs and stuff like that. Like that's what a generational talent is. Caitlin Clark and the stars coming out like Angel Reese and the other ones, they have a chance to actually propel women basketball by affecting little girls wanting to play basketball. And that's what they have to tap into. Like, and if they can't, and I think what BRF said before, if they don't do it this time, I don't think they ever will.
And if they don't do it this time, it's just failed marketing because it's not like you don't have the star power there. I mean, you're literally being. It's like you said. It's like someone saying. It's like me saying I'm hungry and somebody handing me a sandwich. Only thing you got to do is eat it. So that's just how it is. I mean, that's just the equivalent of what it is. I tell somebody I'm hungry. Okay, I'm hungry. Okay, they hand you a sub sandwich. Hey, fully loaded. Only thing you got to do is market it. The only thing you got to do is devour it and eat it up. That's the only thing the WNBA has to do is market at this point. Market. That's the only thing they have to do at this point because they're gonna have to. I mean, Ice Cube set the tone for that salary, so eventually you're gonna have to go up on them salaries eventually because hey, it's not like Ice Cube can't afford it.
I'm telling you.
But can the WNBA afford it? That's the thing.
Yeah, because they're subsidized by the NBA, and I think the NBA wants to make money.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, especially in a market like LA. I mean, You put Angel Reese, especially with some of the great women that the Los Angeles Sparks have had over the years. You know, Cheryl Swoops, just to name a few. I mean, it's LA. I mean, with Indiana, it's Indiana. It's basketball capital of the world. I mean, how can you not market that?
I mean, I'm already thinking, and not even just an LA aspect, but you could go far as back as like Nike could do a commercial with. You could bring back like Cheryl Miller and stuff like that, and just like the advancement of women's college basketball, and do a commercial based on, you know, going back to Cheryl Miller, and keep going forward with all these, you know, top women talents, to the point of now we've gotten this like peak generational talent in Caitlin Clark. I mean, there's so many marketing ideas you could do. I haven't turned on I haven't legit turned on a WNBA game since the inaugural game. And if they do this right, I actually might tune in. I might actually turn into one, or just tune into one.
I mean, but the thing is, I will say this: WNBA has always had star power. People don't, you know, Sue Bird was the truth. A lot of players they had was the truth. I mean, Candace was the truth. You know, you had a lot of great players, but the thing is, where they failed at is marketing. It's like, it's sad when it's sad when we as sports savants know these players, but, you know, the public doesn't. That's what I think the problem is. It's like, yeah, you know, we know who the big names are, but what about these guys? What about these young women that are not necessarily in huge basketball markets? You know, back in the 90s in the NBA, even now, you have guys who are on, you know, nobody's team. They're kind of losing at a certain point, but you know who they are. Like, you know, I'll never forget, and I think this is a good analogy. Before he went to the Cleveland Cavaliers, although Kevin Love, that team was not winning at a certain point, he was all over the place. I mean, you know, putting up double-doubles every night. Remember, they had the Kevin Love taco at Taco Bell. I mean, they had him at McDonald's. They had him all over the place. So, I mean, even when you're on a losing team, if you can market a player and he's on a losing team, imagine what you could do for one of the greatest players, two of the greatest players to ever come out of college basketball on the women's side of the ball. Now, mind you, some of these guys have been on losing teams, guys that weren't going anywhere fast. So think about what you can do with that. So that's my take on that. So, any last words, guys, on that subject matter?
Well, I'll add this little piece to it. Yeah, because and that's the thing though. You want the WNBA to get this right, because it's not like, because it's like you said, champ. It's not like they haven't had star power. You can go back to, like, you know, the inauguration, like, of the WNBA. You can go all the way back to, like, you know, Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops, and then, you know, with Lisa Leslie, and then it evolved into Candace Parker, and then Skylar Diggins, and Maya Moore, and Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Elena Della Dawn. I mean, it's not like they haven't had big time, really good players, but it's just the marketing has just been so bad. They have a whole new generation of just women that can take that league to the next level. They have got to nail this. They have to. I mean, it's
Can I ask
like,
one more question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think it was Shaq that made a suggestion of lowering the hoop like 6 inches. I think he was on. Would that change the game up to the point where it was? Because then
I think he was on Player's Choice when he said that.
What'd you say?
He was on Player's Choice. I remember he was on Player's Choice with Fluent and Chill.
Yeah, and would you? Is that a good idea? Do you think that they need? They
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how some of the WNBA players, they may feel very offended by it. Like, I don't really like necessarily know. I mean, people do want to see like some level of athleticism or physicality. Maybe, I mean, if you want to try that to appease the audience and try to help make the game more exciting, I guess. But how are the WNBA players? How are they going to feel? So that's the thing that's kind of like tricky to me. My thing is, at least it wouldn't hurt giving it a try. It wouldn't hurt to make a difference. Because besides, we've tried everything else and nothing has worked. Might as well try something different. If you've tried the same thing over and over again, then that just tells you what you need to do. What you need to do, you have to do something
That's true.
different.
Yes,
It's like
indeed.
it's like if I'm eating the same food over and over again and I ain't losing weight, then that should tell you something.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah, I've been there. I'm still there. I'm gonna sneak one in on your every podcast, PSP. But I'm sneak one in. Yeah, I still
By the way,
think
for
that.
the record, if you're interested, champ, Grand Marnier is a nice drink. If you're interested in Grand Marnier, other than Roscato or Di Serrano, you should try it. It's really good.
Hey, shout out to Grand Marnier, number one. If you're watching, any sponsors out there want to give PSP or myself, for that matter, a sponsorship with Grand Marnier or Di Serrano for that matter, shoot us a call, because that's a good drink. Hey, matter of fact, PSP hooked us on that Di Serrano, man. Hey, hey, PSP, I got to give you a lot of credit, bro. You hooked me. Hey, you got me on that Di Serrano, man. Big shout out to PSP on that. But
Thank you.
moving forward, man, moving forward. Arguably, one of the most biggest trades this offseason. One of the biggest. Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans at this point. Now, I said this last night on PSP's podcast. Go check out that podcast right now. That was one hell of a surprise show. Hell of a job by PSP putting that show together and inviting me on. Go check that video out, not only on YouTube but Instagram. It's a hell of a video. But moving forward, hey, that trade set the tone for we're going in for the kill. We're going in for the kill. And not only that, they have front-loaded his contract, so he is technically on a 1-year deal. So if it doesn't work out this year, hey, I still have my frontline receivers that I had last year, along with John Mechie. He's coming back pretty soon. So I don't have to worry about paying him in the long run. I can still go back to having the same cap space that I was going to have. So with that being said, man, do y'all think Stephon Diggs is going to work out? We will start with the Flash.
I think it's a no-lose situation for Houston. Not only do they front load the contract, but if he does leave in free agency, they'll get a high compensatory pick, especially if Diggs has a great year. Which, if he's motivated by getting a new long-term deal, yeah, and it could be by Houston too. So, like, either way, I don't. This is a no-lose situation. Houston was in one of the best positions in the offseason in general. They have a star quarterback that I think in the years to come will be one that can actually challenge Mahomes one-on-one. They had a ton of cap room. That their front office seems to be playing chess now instead of actual checkers, as compared to years past. I don't see any even if he just stinks this year, they'll still. I mean, and he leaves in free agents, they'll still get a compensatory pick. They'll get something in return. So, I just don't. I thought it was a brilliant move. I think it's a great move.
Frank, what you think, brother?
Boy, how the Houston Texans have evolved from the Bill O'Brien days. Boy, they look like they knew what they're doing in the front. They look like they knew what they're doing in the front office now, boy. I mean, I saw a tweet a day or so ago. No, I saw a tweet today, and it said Nico Collins was the best receiver on the Houston Texans. And then it says, after today, Nico Collins is still the best receiver on the Houston Texans. And I wanted to quote that tweet so bad, and I wanted to be like, bro, if they're getting first and second year Stephon Diggs going to Buffalo, if they're getting that Stephon Diggs, they're getting the top 5 wide receiver in the league. Just like, yeah, if they're getting motivated, Stephon Diggs is the best receiver on that team, and that's saying something. With Nico Collins and Tank Dell, the way they played well before Tank Dell, suffered the injury, but just they are building this team. It's like it's amazing how they go from like 1 year to like drafting like top 5, hoping to have a good year with CJ Stroud, to now I think being in that second tier of AFC teams, because if KC and Baltimore is the first tier, Houston's on that second tier with, like, I guess if you want to say Buffalo, Miami, that second tier below of AFC teams. Houston is just like catapulted themselves into that second tier. I mean, they've instantly become one of the most complete teams in the AFC, if not the entire National Football League, with this move. I mean, that front office is working wonders, and I love what they're doing. I think it's an awesome move. You can't go wrong either way. I mean, like Flash said, I mean, hey, if Stephon Diggs don't work out and he leaves, they're going to get a high compensatory draft pick for him. So I mean, they can't go wrong either way. It's like they are just they're one step ahead right now. They're doing this the way they need to be doing this, and it's just like I said, where it's a good evolution, seeing, going back to when Bill O'Brien was there and traded DeAndre Hopkins, for the corpse of David Johnson. So yeah, I am loving what they're doing. They are a dark horse AFC championship team next year. They're dark horse.
All right, Dan. Number one, before we move forward, shout out to my main man, Clayton Gambrell. Happy anniversary, brother. Hey, thanks for having my back overseas. You already know what it is. I had to say that. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring one of our main men from one of the best pods that you ever want to see, the Throwdown. Brandon from the block is in the building. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Doing good, bro. Doing
Good,
good,
Brandon.
man. What up,
What's up,
PSP?
Brandon?
What up, Flash? What up, Champ? What up?
Hey, Brandon. What's up, dude?
Yep.
All right, then we'll talk about the Stephon Diggs trade, man. Since you're the first one here right now, what do you think so far, man? What you think about the trade, bro?
Oh, Diggs. Oh yeah, it's a great move. I think the Texans. I think maybe AFC Championship, maybe.
Yeah.
Cause I mean you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I still got them going in the Super Bowl. Got the Ravens, and I think the Texans right there. So, CJ Stroud, you got a good running game. You got Joe Mixon out there. Joe Mixon ain't the same, but he's still reliable. He's still good. You just add Stephon Diggs to the mix and take Dale, and you can't sleep on Nico Collins too. You know. So for the Texans it's good, but for the Bills, we go really see what Josh Allen really all about with no weapons, because hey, the people were saying, hey, he's Stephon Diggs dependent. He's nothing without Stephon Diggs. So we gonna see.
And last but not least, Mr. 15,000 PSP. What you got for us, brother?
Actually, 16,000, because our YouTube, Instagram, the two videos that I put out, the one you did, that you talked about 16.3, and mine 13.9.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, we doing everything we can, man. We're gonna keep on grinding. As it pertains to the Stephon Diggs trade, Houston won this one. To BRF's point, my God, they finally got rid of Bill O'Brien. They traded dumbest trade ever, DeAndre Hopkins, for a bag of Chips Ahoy, Oreos, and a glass of milk. That's what they traded DeAndre Hopkins for. As it pertains to the Houston Texans, they won this one by far. Not only getting Stephon Diggs, but you didn't have to give up a first round pick. All you did was gave up a second round pick in next year's draft. You ended up getting a fifth and a sixth. The Houston Texans have done their part in the offseason. I mean, think of it. Adding Daniel Hunter into the mix to pair him up with Will Anderson. You traded to get Joe Mixon. Even though it was reported at first they wanted to try to get Saquon before he ended up going to Philadelphia. Joe Mixon, by the way, OU, played in my school, Oklahoma. He is definitely an upgrade as well. You added some depth to the offensive line. CJ Stroud definitely his MVP chances have skyrocketed as well as the Houston Texans' chances of competing for the AFC. What I also look at it, bottom line, Trevor Lawrence is now an afterthought. And because not just with the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, because Anthony Richardson is coming back. And unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence may be either the third or worse, the fourth best quarterback in that division, because the Tennessee Titans, they made some nice moves too. Let's not forget the L'Jarius Sneed trade, and Will Levis played well last season. If I'm Buffalo, and you and I, we talked about this, champ. Hey, should you consider trading him? Is it time for you to clean house? Sean McDermott, is it time for you to leave? Because we saw Ken Dorsey leave. Now it's time for you to probably leave as well. The Super Bowl window is closed. Not just that, the AFC East. Let's not forget, even though Luis and Last Word, and shout out to both of them, huge Dolphins fans, even though they're not the biggest Tua fans in the world, they like him, they respect him, but they just don't think he's the guy going forward. You can't disregard the Miami Dolphins and the Jets, assuming if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. And they've made some moves, the Hassan Reddick trade, and of course Ty Smith to beef up the old line. And Mike Williams, even though he has durability issues as well, I like what the Jets have done. So Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, this is going to be a struggle in 2024 for them, because there's no guarantees that they're going to win. So if I'm Buffalo, it depends on what you want to do. Do you still want to hold on to Josh Allen, or if Josh Allen tells you, look, I want to get traded? And Trevor Lawrence, do you want to do the same? I don't believe he'll demand a trade, because Jacksonville's going to offer him the money. And like I said, he'd be foolish to turn down that type of money. And we've seen it before. We saw Deshaun Watson, when he got his money, he ended up getting traded. And even though Deshaun Watson was never the same because of other stuff, don't be surprised. So that's how I look at it.
I think that the Buffalo Bills window has closed shut. And if I'm one team, I'm calling the Buffalo Bills in order to see about it. If I'm Minnesota right now, rather than trying to move up and trying to draft an unproven quarterback, I got the number 11 pick, and I got the number 23 pick, and I got a 4th round pick. I'm calling Buffalo. What you trying to do? I'm calling Buffalo. What you trying to do? Because can you imagine Josh Allen was that dude with Stephon Diggs? Can you imagine him with Justin Jefferson and the weapons that they have on that offensive side of the ball
Addison.
with Minnesota? Yes, Jordan Addison, a lot of those guys.
TJ Hockenson.
Yeah. So, yes, if I'm Minnesota right now, rather than trying to move up in the draft and trying to get an unproven quarterback, I'm calling the Buffalo Bills and say, I got 2 first-round picks and a 4th this year, and I give you a 1st and maybe a 6th next year. What you trying to do? Because right now, and I will sell them on the fact, right now you're rebuilding. Right now, this is the greatest opportunity you have to recover quickly. Because in the first round, you can get in this first round with the number 11 pick, you can get your quarterback. You can get you, and with the pick that you have, with the picks that the Buffalo Bills have already in the first round, and combine that with the picks they would get from the Minnesota Vikings, they would have 3 picks in the first round. You can get a quarterback, running back, wide receiver combo off the rip.
When you first said it before we went live, I was just like, nah. And then the more I think about it,
hey, Atlanta Falcons, let me be your general manager. I'll lead you to a Super Bowl within 6 years, man.
Man, please, you want to get Russell Wilson to the ATL as opposed to Kirk Cousins? Come on now.
Come on now, PSP. Look, I said bring him to there because we will only have to pay him $2 million.
I know.
Cheap compared to what we're going to have to pay Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is still the better quarterback at this stage, though.
Listen, don't blame Kirk Cousins for getting his money. I mean, his agent finds ways for him to get his money. But again, Chip, I blame this on Arthur Blank, man. We don't want to talk about the whole thing with Lamar Jackson. I blame this on Arthur Blank, your owner. So when I look at the Diggs trade, and you talked about this on my pod yesterday, champ.
Yeah.
You got traded to Buffalo. Now you're getting traded to Houston. How are you going to gel? Because you're even though you're the number one wide receiver, there's going to be opportunities in which you're not going to get the ball as much. Not just Tank Dell and also Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, a very underrated tight end. There's going to be opportunities for other wide receivers to step up. John Mechie the third. So how is Stephon Diggs going to handle that? How is C.J. Stroud, a young quarterback coming off a Pro Bowl caliber season, his second year, how is he going to handle someone like Stephon Diggs? If Trayvon Diggs, your brother, is coming forward and saying the stuff about you and Josh Allen, then people are going to assume it's coming from Stephon Diggs because that's his brother.
Hey, and you got to think about this. Is it about winning or are you getting the ball? And another thing is just I don't think enough people talking about. Minnesota got rid of you, Stephon Diggs, and they upgraded. They got Judders.
Yep, sure
Can
did.
you imagine? Imagine if Buffalo gets Brandon Thomas from LSU or Malik Neighbors at this point, and he does, and they go to, let's say, the AFC Championship this year. And even if they lose, what if he comes out and gives Josh Allen that air specialty type of guy that he needs outside of you? Because remember, Minnesota upgraded. What if Buffalo upgrades at this point? And not only that, what if you start whining again when you start having a bad year, although the team may be winning, you're not getting the ball as much? Because now you're not going to be the focal point. They're going to be spreading that ball around, and that offensive coordinator is going to be putting every last one of those playmakers in the best position to win. But it's not going to always involve you. So how are you going to react once that starts happening? So that's the biggest question at this point, because you're not the biggest game in town at this point. They had a number one guy last year before he went down by the name of Tank Dell. Shout out to Trent, by the way, because he was telling us about Tank Dell before he got drafted. So big shout out to Trent, Houston alumnus. And so we got to get credit where credit's due. Tank Dell should have been a first round pick, but yet and still he's no joke. So when he comes back, not to mention with John Mechie straight out of Alabama, imagine with those four receivers right there, and Dalton Schultz and Joe Mixon, the ball, you're not going to be the focal point, and they're not going to have to force feed you the ball because they have a Gabe. I don't even know the guy's name anymore. Gabe Davis on the other side. There's no Gabe Davises on these teams. There's a bunch of playmakers around here that can really make plays, and you got to be real with it. C.J. Stroud was in the MVP conversation last year.
I think DeMeco Ryans, this is going to be a great test for him as well. And we got to give a lot of love to DeMeco Ryans. I think, and listen, if you want to win a Super Bowl champion, we talked about this. Although you love yourself some ATL, H-Town.
Yeah.
That's like that's the southwest version of Atlanta. To win it there with that organization and with a young quarterback like in CJ, I think CJ and Stephon, for the two of them to work, hang out with each other, go to some places in Houston. Spend some time working out in the offseason, building some camaraderie with the younger players and with the team. And look, Stephon Diggs can give them advice. He's been to an AFC championship game. Actually, he's been to two conference championship games. Yes. Remember, because the Minneapolis Miracle that led to the NFC championship game against the Eagles. And, yeah. But I think this is a great opportunity for Stephon Diggs to show something in Houston. And for Buffalo, I agree, Tim. They're gonna have to clean up house. Tre'Davious White is gone. Micah Hyde is gone. What's next? Ken Dorsey is gone. The writing is on the wall now. So for Buffalo, for them to completely fix this team, and it's just sad because with Josh Allen, he's got a lot to prove because before Stephon Diggs, as a passer, he wasn't getting the type of credit or recognition. So now, how is he going to be without Stephon Diggs? They still have they have the nice tight ends and stuff, but how are they going to get better in that division? Mind you, we keep talking about not just the AFC, but the division. There's no guarantee they're gonna win that division again.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta say this: Stephon Diggs trade. We've seen a lot of good things on the offseason. We've seen a lot of big moves on the offseason. We've seen a lot of great things happen this offseason. And if I'm right or wrong, man, feel free to correct me, guys. This is one of the most busiest off seasons we've had in recent memory. This is one of the most busy. I mean, and surprisingly, no first round picks has changed hands for any of these big time wide receivers. Which leads me to my very next question. Who is winning the NFL offseason so far? And PSP, my main man from New Jersey, we will start with you.
Oh, it's without question. Like I said, the Houston Texans, not just with Stephon Diggs, but also Joe Mixon trade, getting Daniel Hunter. Houston last year, if I'm not mistaken, champ, they were 11th defensively, so they should be better with him pairing up with Will Anderson, the reigning defensive rookie of the year, and with D'Amico Ryans, defensive coordinator. Defense has been your signature. I love what they've done for CJ Stroud out in some offensive line, getting him a running back with Joe Mixon. So you don't have to ask CJ to do so much. I like the chances for CJ Stroud to win the MVP. I think he has a better chance of winning it this year. And I do see Houston finishing top 2 or top 3 in the AFC. I think they've had by far the best offseason. And then outside of them, I would definitely say the Philadelphia Eagles by getting Johnson, the cornerback, by getting Saquon Barkley. Even though they lose Kelsey, they lose Fletcher Cox, I still believe that they've done well. But we all know the team that's done the worst in the offseason, Dallas. So,
Yeah,
that's just me.
Yep.
terrible. Brandon from the block. What's going on, man?
So, me, I think the Steelers. I'm not gonna lie. I like what they did. With the quarterbacks situation with Fields. They got Russ too. I mean, definitely an upgrade for Kenny Pickett. Trubisky, like definitely an upgrade. Then the defense, they upgraded more. They got Dante Jackson in the Deontay Johnson trade, and then they got Patrick Queen as well. And then the defense already top notch. They're already top 5. I'm high on the Steelers this year. I got them going second in the division.
Okay. Frank, what's going on, man? Who won the offseason, brother?
Oh boy. Man, for me it's a no-brainer. Houston Texans killed this offseason. What they've done now with adding Stephon Diggs. I mean, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson should be one of the most potent bookend duos in the league next year. And then Joe Mixon, who for the last 4 or 5 years has been arguably a top 10 back in the league. I mean, the numbers he's been putting up in Cincinnati and just Houston. Like I said, Houston. I don't know what's going on with Houston. I don't know who to put some in their water down there with the front office. I don't know who.
State income taxes and barbecue.
I'm telling you, boy, they doing something down there, boy. 'Cause that front office putting in some work, trying to build a good team, trying to build a team that can ultimately contend. Because, like I said, they're looking like a dark horse AFC championship contender. I mean, what they've done has just been off the charts. It's just unheard of for a Houston Texans organization to kill it like this in the offseason. But yeah, like Brandon said, I do like what the Steelers did as well, getting Dante Jackson and then bringing in Russ and Justin Fields for that quarterback position. I do like what the Steelers did. I actually like what I like, even though they traded Justin Fields, I like what Chicago's done too. As far as being able to, I like what the Chicago Bears have done too, being able to add being able to add some talent as well. So there have been some teams out there that have been really doing it big this offseason, but the biggest winners got to be, for me, the Houston Texans.
Flash.
So I think the easy answer is Houston. I think that's the easy answer. So I'm going to go a little bit of a different route. So I think I'm going to say two teams. I think the Green Bay Packers. I think by signing Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, I think is huge. The only reason why I think Green Bay's not talked about enough is I think them letting go Aaron Jones. I think if they win into the season with Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs as a two-headed monster in the backfield, whoa, that would have been beautiful to see. But I think it fills two big holes in the offense in general. Younger in that position, Josh Jacobs is arguably a better back and more healthy back at this point, and a younger back than Aaron Jones. As much as I love Aaron Jones, and getting Xavier McKinney, which is such a sneaky, random, like, wait a minute, they signed it. The Packers signed McKinney. Filled a huge hole in their back end of their secondary, and then I'm going to go with team number 2. They didn't do anything splashy, but they kept all their big dogs, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They kept Mike Evans, they kept Winfield, and they kept Baker Mayfield. And as of right now, I know Atlanta's looking like with the Kirk Cousins signing, but that's the one team that could challenge Atlanta to the division right now. That's the only team, I think, in my opinion. So I just in a sneaky way, I think those two teams are kind of like big winners as well. I love pointing out of Pittsburgh either, and yeah, the Bears too have had a good offseason. But I want to make one thing. I want to say there's the biggest loser of the offseason right now, and it's none of the teams. It's the NFL, that stupid tackling ban.
You mean the drop? Champ and I, we talked about that, and my thing is, look, I understand people want to see offense and points, but at the same time, you come into a sport like football, and in sports and life, injuries occur. Whether anyone likes it or not, unfortunately, that's just part of the business. And I just hate it because, once again, you're treating defensive players like afterthoughts. How are they supposed to contribute? They're players too, and I just hate the way how football is navigating nowadays. Like Champ and BRF, you remember the play, the Falcons Bucks, the controversial roughing the passer call.
The Grady Jarrett call.
That was bogus. Like, how you can't ask for a better sack in today's context. You can't put your body weight on the quarterback anymore. You can't launch them on their knees. Fine. How else do you expect me to get him on the ground? I have to wrap him, put his body on me, and just get him down to the ground. What else do you want me to do?
I'm actually like very angry about this rule because I'm at the point. I made a TikTok video about this, and I know Champ, you saw it. I'm at the point where I will not acknowledge any NFL records on the offense going forward, and I'm at the point where I'm real close to not acknowledging Super Bowl rings at this point because the rules are so far in favor of the offense that now quarterback stats are going to now even go farther through the roof. Like you did like this. Now it's getting to the point where it's like you're not even comparing different eras. You're not even comparing the same sport in some aspects. That's a real hot take and a real harsh thing to say. But I just and to me, I mentioned it in the video too that I made. It's all about money because now they can market. Oh, Mahomes is going to break this record, and so is going to break this record, and look at the points that. That just. That angers me as football has been like probably the love of my life since I was a little kid, and they're actively ruining the sport. And it's not just fans that are complaining about it. Like, I mean, JJ Watt has said something about this. Both Kelsey brothers, Aaron Rodgers, and these aren't like just random players that no, these are like your bona fide stars that have major faces out there saying that you're ruining the game. Stop it. But apparently the NFLPA was the one behind this. So go to your own players union and fix it.
Yeah. Hey, this is a hot take. Very, very hot take, man. Hey, I think the Bears won the offseason. I think the Bears won. My thing is they not only re-signed Johnson Island, they already had the number one defense in the NFL, but they gave Caleb Williams some of the best weapons that you ever want to have, especially with DeAndre Swift and and Keenan Allen.
That's
And
shocking you said that.
and hey, not to mention, gotta give I'm gonna keep giving you your flowers for this PSP. Hey, that Montez Sweat trade was something else. Man.
Thank you. I've been trying to tell you that all along. I've been trying to tell you this dude is for real. I tried to tell you I didn't want Chase Young anymore. I knew I wanted to move on from Chase Young because of his durability problems. Montez adds a different dimension. He can bull rush the quarterback. He's got power. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got long arms as well. And he would give you double-digit sacks. He's capable of that. He made the Pro Bowl this year and got his money. I tried to tell you about this man.
Yeah, you told me, and I didn't want to listen. I wanted Chase Young, but thank God that did not happen because we'd have wasted a lot of money and a draft pick on that. But I'll say the Chicago Bears. They got Keenan Allen. They got DeAndre Swift. The only thing they really need right now, they're going to draft Caleb Williams. If they don't, because you all know my favorite saying: the quarterback can't throw on his back. I don't care if you got Joe Montana, Tom Brady, or Michael Vick out there. The quarterback can't throw on his back. You need some offensive linemen. But other than that, the Chicago Bears have definitely made a lot of improvement. Now, secondly, I will put the Houston Texans up there, but I have to see what kind of continuity that they're going to have with Stephon Diggs on the offensive side of the ball, especially when Tank Dell comes back and if he's at full speed at the beginning of the season. But moving on, the moment that we've all been waiting for. We all know what week it is. It is what week? It is WrestleMania week. So I have to ask this to each and every last one of you, starting with my main man, PSP. What WrestleMania match you're most looking forward to this coming Saturday and Sunday?
Roman Reigns versus Cody. I just want to see if Roman Reigns' title reign is going to end, and Rock with the heel. I mean, what he's done as far as with the heel man, it's been great. But I would love to see Stone Cold come in WrestleMania. If he actually comes in, oh man, that'd be great.
Yes, that would be. Frank, what you got for us, man? What WrestleMania moment you most looking forward to?
Well, I actually have two matches that I'm looking forward to this weekend. And here's the thing though. Everybody's talking about Rock, Roman versus Seth and Cody, and I understand completely, and it deserves all the attention that it's getting. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship could steal that whole weekend, and people aren't talking about that match enough. The matches that they've already put on with the World Heavyweight title on the line. These two don't know how to do nothing else but put on really, really, really good matches. And now you're giving them the WrestleMania stage. I am excited to see what those two are going to do because we're not putting enough emphasis. I don't think we're putting enough emphasis on the Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre World Heavyweight Championship match. And we know it's going to co-main event Sunday. Come on, man. We know it's co-main event Sunday. So best believe they're going to want to show out before the Cody Roman Undisputed Universal title match. They're going to want to show out before. And another match I'm kind of starting to look forward to, just to think outside the box, and I might be a little crazy for saying this, but that 6-team ladder match is looking pretty lit for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship. It's looking pretty lit. And it's the field is kind of funny, but I mean it's kind of like it's almost kind of giving you that feel that some craziness about to happen. And the fact that I think they announced that it's literally like the first portion of the match is going to be for the Raw Tag Team titles and the second part is going to be for the SmackDown titles, which is something that they should have done a long time ago, was split the championships. So it's definitely going to add a new kind of, it's adding a new fire to that match. So that one I'm looking forward to too, especially knowing that they're going to split the championships. I'm looking forward to it. So those would be my 2 matches I'm looking forward to outside of the obvious ones.
Hey, I can't blame you there. Shout out to my main man Benjamin, Alabama's finest. I see you. Flash, what you got for us?
All right, I'll go a little bit of a different route too. The one that I'm looking forward to is the triple threat match. I think as much as I've hated the Paul brothers, Logan Paul has proved himself to be born to be a wrestler. The stuff that he is doing as a heel is phenomenal. He is entertaining to watch. He is hilarious on the mic. He is great on the mic. I won't go great. He's really good on the mic. Phenomenal in the ring. He's only getting better. He looks like he belongs when he's in the ring with somebody like Randy Orton. And that's insane to really, if you were to say that 3 years ago, like Logan Paul is going to be standing in the ring with someone like Randy Orton and he's going to look legit next to him. That's I love KO. KO is one of my favorites. So I'm looking forward to that match the most. I would say besides the obvious answers. And then I also kind of think there's a sneaky dark horse one too. I think the Ray Dragon Lee and then versus Dirty Dom and
Santos Escobar.
Thank you. I think that's going to be a sneaky good match because kind of like Logan Paul, when Dominic is on the television, he is hard not to watch because he is so entertaining.
Because you want to see him get his ass beat.
Yes. Yeah. But dude, that match that he had on Raw versus Gunther, dude, that match was awesome.
He's getting better. He's getting much better in the ring.
Yes. Like he looked legit in there. Well, it's not just him. Everybody wants to see him get whooped. It's not just that. He's getting really good in the ring. Like that Gunther match was like, there were moments I was like, oh hell no, they're not going to let him. No. And it was the way that they pulled it off was I thought was just phenomenal. So those are the 2 matches that I personally am looking forward to.
I'm gonna go in a different direction, man. I'm looking forward to seeing this NXT match, Trick Williams versus Melo. This has been a rivalry between that's a rivalry that I've been waiting to see. We've seen it just boil over between those two, and it looks like, hey man, Trick Williams is out for revenge, man. Another thing I'm looking forward to is seeing Jade Cargill on WrestleMania for the first time.
I knew.
Hey man, like I always tell PSP, I'm gonna sneak one in on you every time.
I knew you were. I thought you were literally going to go.
He's consistent on that. In fairness to Champ, he's always consistent on that.
And also, in fairness to Champ, I will say this: they did Jade really well on SmackDown. They booked her to perfection. The initial entrance, they made her feel like a megastar from the jump. And even that whole angle with her coming out and helping Bianca and Naomi, like the slow walk to the ring, she knew what she was about. She knew what she was about to do the damage control, and she knew they were not going to stop her. They got her feeling like a megastar from the jump. I love what they did with Jade that first night on SmackDown.
Can I say too with the Jade thing? It's not because if Vince was still in charge, Vince would have signed her from AEW and thrown her right into the mix right away, and would have not let her. And Tripp and Sean were like, nope, we're just going to give the crowd little bits because she wasn't a finished product yet. Like the star power. But she wasn't. She's not. You can tell too. She's not quite there on the mic. A little bit of work to do on the mic, but they did such a masterful job. They teased her at the Rumble what she's capable of, and they did that flawlessly. So they brought her out. They kind of teased her. They set her up like she came out in a limo. I think with Tripp at a SmackDown when she first got signed, made her look like this megastar or whatever. And then they've just kind of given little tidbits, little crumbs here and there, and made her look amazing. And so far, bravo, Tripp and Shawn Michaels. Bravo. Like the way that they've done that. The booking has been phenomenal.
Yes, indeed. And that tag match between The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, that's going to be a good one. And for the two world champions that have to battle twice in one night, it's going to be flat out amazing. Those are the three matches I'm really looking forward to. I have to say that, man, because hey, like I said earlier, WrestleMania week is kind of like Christmas. You know what you want, but you never know what you're going to get at the end of the day. But, man, on that note, man, I have to say special thanks to not only the TikTok crew in Flash and BRF, but shout out to my main man, PSP, who, hey, thank you for making me bring back the show because he's been on me about bringing back my show. I really appreciate it, bro. Thank you for always having me on your show as well, man. Don't forget, if you're tuning into this podcast, tune in to my boy, my main man, my brother from another mother. Tune in to PSP's podcast tonight, same time, same channel, tomorrow night at 9. He has a hell of a show lined up for you, man. But tell the people where to follow you, PSP.
Oh, absolutely. Sports PSP3 on TikTok, Sports PSP on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter. Like and subscribe to the Sports PSP podcast, the episode that Champ and I did on Stephon Diggs. Go check that out. Tomorrow on the Sports PSP podcast, we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, DJ Burns. Could he play in the NBA or in the NFL? Because he's been getting a lot of buzz, possibly playing in the NFL. We're going to do some start benches and cuts, which ones you want. One of them that we're going to discuss is Cam Newton or Andrew Luck. Which quarterback would you rather have between the two? So we're going to discuss that and some much more stuff, man. And we're going to be ready to rock on Friday night. So can't wait.
Friday Night Lights.
Hey, Champ, can I ask one question before we head out?
Of course, man.
Okay. What are everybody's hot take predictions for the Bloodline tag team match and then the main event on Sunday night? Because I've heard some wild ones. Did you guys have any predictions?
The Bloodline loses that tag match with a mistake from The Rock, with the mistake. And they get to arguing backstage a lot about the mistake. But then he comes out and does it again and costs Roman Reigns the title. And we come to find out it wasn't a mistake. Because remember, we saw this before with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 2000. He made a mistake and hit The Rock in the pay-per-view before. Then came out, come to find out it wasn't a mistake. So I think that happens.
I have a similar take, but it's kind of the opposite. I think Roman turns on The Rock because everybody's expecting The Rock to turn on Roman. And here's the reason why I think Roman turns on The Rock is because this whole time The Rock has been overshadowing him as like Roman's supposed to be the tribal chief, the head of the table, and everybody's watched. The Rock is The Rock, and he is the big dog. And they've had moments, little teases of, like when Roman stopped The Rock from talking on the mic for a second. And that's personally what I would like to see because I think that would be awesome. That's what I want to see. I want it to go on The Rock and basically go like, I don't need you to. Because like my daughter like is a huge Cody fan and she's gonna hate that I've said I say I low key want Roman to win.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I want him to win. I do. I love him as the villain. I love him as the Mahomes Brady, the guy that just won't go away and can't lose him. It's like the breaks going their way. I love that villain aspect of it, that guy on top of the mountain that everybody wants to bump off. So there's that low key part of me that wants to see Roman still hold the title. Okay, that was it.
Frank, what do you think?
I think the Bloodline wins the tag match, and then all hell's gonna break loose Sunday. That's what I think is gonna happen. I
Okay,
think
then.
there's gonna be interferences. There's gonna be so much stuff to happen. I think ultimately Cody's going to win. I think he finally gets it.
Okay, we can barely hear you, Frank.
Hold on, my phone's going out. Hold on.
Fellas, I gotta take care of some stuff. Y'all take it easy. Love y'all.
All right.
Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening.
All
Thanks,
right, thank
PSP.
you, PSP.
Always will do.
All right. So it's down to the terrific 2 at this point. So
Sorry,
So-
I had to get that question in there. I apologize if I just had, because I've heard some really interesting takes on what people think are going to happen. Like I've heard that like Austin's going to come out and help Cody win. I've heard Cena and Austin coming out and helping. Like I've heard the whole locker room.
yeah.
theory.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot, and it's based on things that we saw before. Remember when Sting was facing Ric Flair, and everybody came out to kind of in order to try to help Sting win his first heavyweight title.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've seen it before. It's based on a lot of stuff that we've seen before.
yeah.
And,
I'm excited. I'm excited. I think that it could go a ton different ways. There's rumors that The Rock is going to be around till SummerSlam and through SummerSlam.
mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then I think some kind of shenanigans are going to happen where, I mean, they've teased Cody versus The Rock.
Mm-hmm. They have.
So, man, I'm excited.
Hey, I'm excited as well. Trying to wait until Frank comes back. I mean, so I can enter. Like I said, the TikTok crew, what I call us, because we used to, like I said, we used to have TikTok on fire every single Sunday when we went live. So, every single Sunday.
I'm glad you started this up again. Like I know PSP's been on you about it, so I'm glad, because I've been waiting to do one of these with you. So it's
yeah. Quick. Nobody do this, but I was about to kill the show for good. But I was about to kill the show completely for good.
Why?
Because it's easier to be a guest on someone's show for me than to run your own show. But the way PSP taught me a lot of stuff about running my own show, and like I said, that's like I'm always say shout out to PSP, Rick Boone Sports. They taught me a lot about how to bring up the banners and everything like that. There was a lot of people teaching me a lot of stuff because I really wasn't sure. Like I said, it's easier to be a guest, and people put you on
just show up.
and you just go up, and people are going to follow you based on the clip that you have from somebody else's show. But to run your own show is kind of like, oh, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do that? So I really didn't know if I was going to bring it back. But everybody was like, oh, hell, because I was really thinking about it, because I was really like, I'm hoping that nobody mentioning it. And I'm like, and they were like, oh, hell, not like, hell, you're not going to bring it back. You're going to bring that show back.
Well, I was sitting looking, I was like, man, does he not want me on the show? Because I never got an invite. And I was just like, it's hard though. Like I did it for 2.5 years with my nephew through my ex-wife, and then his best buddy. It's hard. It didn't get rolling really until took us a year to really get like a format and like who does what when and whose strengths are this, and it takes a little bit. It really does. And then and then we got to the point where we had like a logo for our channel and everything like that. And but yeah, it's a lot of work, and it does take time, and you just got to be patient with it. But I am glad you did bring it back though.
And I will be inviting you back. Like I said, we tried to wait on Frank, but it looks like he's not coming back to us. But hey, make sure, but I will speak for him at this point. Make sure you go on TikTok and follow BRF Sports at this point, man. Hell of a content that he has on his page, man. And I was still here. Yes. And always remember, a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. That is an old saying from Frank himself. Hey, which can't wait to have him back on the show. Hey, like I said, the TikTok crew, excuse me, me, myself, BRF Sports, and my main man Flash here. Like I said, we used to have TikTok on fire every Sunday after every single game. So hey, look forward to that this coming fall as well. We will be bringing that back. And I will be bringing back the entire TikTok crew back on the Undisputed GOAT podcast very, very soon, man. And if you can, Flash, tell the people where to follow you once again, brother, before we end the show.
So I'm at TikTok. Just it's Flash 22, all underscores in between each letter and number. And then you'll see my link tree in there, along with on my Instagram. And I also have a second TikTok channel. I haven't gotten off the ground yet, but I'm just kind of doing. It's called from dad bod to rad bod. So it's basically me and my journey to get back into shape after dealing with arthritis and stuff like that, and just to try to give some motivation to other people that are struggling with trying to get. So I'm actually going to be starting that up next week. So you might see some crossover on that. I just bought a new tripod and stuff like that. So I'm starting to get back into it, but and that's that.
Hey, make sure you go follow my main man Flash, and we will be encouraging throughout his entire journey. We will be encouraging. And guess what, man? I will be reposting every last one of those videos that you do on your journey on TikTok. Okay. After I post mine, you can bet that. You can bet your $5. But in other news right now, when you gotta go, you gotta go. And shout out to my main people from Columbus, Georgia, man, greatest city in America. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I know they say that about the Big Apple, but in the city of Columbus's magnitude, you can best believe if you have the talent, you can make it. Hey, shout out to my main man, Aiden. Shout out to Brandon from the block. All my guys from Columbus, Georgia that has watched this podcast. I thank you a lot. And we are out.
Thank you. Thanks, champ. Appreciate it.
No problem, bro.